And hello. I'm going to go finishing yesterday's video-ish by this comment about the UK left-wing opposition. Yes, but when your argument, persuasion, discussion goes along the lines of Venezuela is a great economic and social model, plenty of people should get afraid, and not just the elites. Right, now that, for people that don't know, is a bit based on fact about Jeremy Corbyn. But for today, we're going to put it in the bullshit category and go on as though it hadn't been said. And that's the problem with Corbynism. It's not that what he says I don't like, brackets, lower taxes for most, higher public spending and massive nationalisations, close brackets, it's that I don't think it's reasonably achievable. Colon. Something will have to give, full stop. But he hasn't got the self-awareness to say that. Now, I'm not sure about the self-awareness. It's been so nicely written so far, at least that paragraph, that I don't want to knock it. But self-awareness, is that the right thing to say? Something has to give. Okay. The Tories, at least, are consistent. That's the right-wing people that are in government at the moment. They're consistent. Lowering the tax burden for the richest bracket and funding that by cutting money from the poorest. It's reprehensible, but at least the cost is balanced. Now, this is what most all people think is essential. Of left-wing and right-wing, it mattereth not. They know, because they run household budgets, that you can't wildly spend more than you earn. And it worries them like hell when politicians promise obviously much more than they will say where the funding is going to come from. Everyone is alarmed by this. 2 more paragraphs. Corbyn's social utopia could be achieved, or at least worked towards, but Nordic-level services require Nordic-level taxation. And he puts it in as a 50% base rate and 65% as the higher rate for the richer earners, or more. I put in the or more. But the 50% base rate and 65% higher rate. But he does not have the guts to say that, let alone do that, not that I've seen. Because what we've got, whether we like it or not, the social pyramid is kind of, this is the great fat bottom of the people that don't earn much. And then you go into kind of middle management and then higher management and the bosses, and it just goes whoosh like that, and then comes right out again to the fat bottom. You won't get enough from cutting off here and having that, attacking that peak, take enough from there to spread out to the fat bottom. If you want to give to the fat bottom, basically you've got to take from the fat bottom and then give it back to them, or further down. You can't get it all from the little peak at the top. So he's promising billions of stuff, and that's great. But he isn't funding it. Squeezing the topmost might get some more revenue, providing you don't squeeze too hard and see it flee offshore, but even the most optimistic predictions and optimal tax outcomes will cover only a small fraction of his social plan. And that's where we are. The higher part, the middle class, of the fat bottom want the Nordic services, but they're not willing to pay the tax to have it. They are not willing to say, give up their what's the name of that bloody coffee shop again? They're not they're buyout coffees. They're not willing to give that up in taxes so that the services can be spread around. And until they are, you won't get the services and things will continue to be shit. And you can bleat all you want about the little pointy bit at the top could pay for it all. But all that shows is you haven't been and done the maths. It's just, I don't do politics basically. But this to me is just so obvious that the middle class have just welched on their dinner table promises or desires. They say that they want all these things, but are just not willing to pay for it. And that is exactly right. Corbyn's social utopia could be achieved, or at least work towards. He's being reasonable here. But Nordic-level services, in other words, from the Scandinavian countries, which are very good, or here in France, they're very good. But you have to pay the taxation. People are taxed hugely here, and they are there. And you get the services, which are fabulous, but everybody pays for them. And I imagine, subsequently, less Starbucks are sold in France and Nordic countries than in the UK and the US. In the UK and the US, they want to drink their Starbucks and talk about how nice it would be if everybody could drink Starbucks as well. But they will not give up their Starbucks for other people to drink Starbucks. Probably because they realise it's a stupid thing. The whole thing's stupid. But that's it. Your middle class, which is probably you, aren't willing to pay for it. They're willing to talk about it, but they aren't willing to pay for it. And until you are, we get this strange thing where in this comment, this is why I think it's so well done. The Tories are at least consistent, the right wing are consistent, lowering the tax burden for the richest and funding that by giving money to the poorest. It's reprehensible, but at least the cost is balanced. It makes sense, it works in this everything's got to be financially sorted out world. So until the left can convince the middle classes to pay for their dreams, no dreams. More right wing, take from the poor and give to the rich. And it's The Guardian. It's a left-wing paper. I just get this over and over and over and over again. They come up with these ideas. Somebody says, where's the money going to come from? And then it just all goes, blah, blah, blah. And you just can't work it like that. 10 minutes.